Right, this one's about social mobility. It could perhaps be a bit more timely because it was a few months ago now that the British media was absolutely obsessed with a report that had come out saying that Britain had a very low social mobility and that this was a terrible, terrible thing of which we should all be greatly ashamed. What the report had done is it had looked at people who were in a particular social class and then asked them what social class were you born into, and then measured the number of people who had been born into one class and had changed to another class, and it had found that most people were in the same class. Well, I think there's a bit of an elephant in the room though that people weren't really paying any attention to. But I'm going to now. Now imagine that what we all want is a meritocracy. People always say that that's what they want, a meritocracy. They want people who are able to succeed because of their innate qualities and people who are just rubbish to fail because they should, and that's fair. Well, let's imagine that we do live in fact in a wonderful meritocracy, and that in a meritocracy these people here, they would be the leaders. They would be people at the top of the heap. They would be paid the most, they would be the directors of companies and so forth, and these people will be the followers at the bottom of the heap, being paid the least and having the fewest responsibilities. But owing to some bizarre administrative error, the world is actually like this. You see, everyone's in the wrong place, but it's a meritocracy. So after a while, some people will go up and some people will go down. And after a while, we see this situation. Now, you've just seen that absolutely everyone is in a position that they didn't start off in. So this situation here now, if a surveyor came along and surveyed the people, so where were you when you were born and where are you now, they would report 100% social mobility, and that this is a wonderful, wonderful country. Some more time passes, and then the situation gets to this. Well, you notice that these people here at the top, they were at the top before, so they haven't moved. And these people, they were at the bottom before, so they haven't moved either. But we've still got, what's that, 6 fingers out of 8 that have moved. So we have still a fairly mobile society. But it's still a meritocracy, time passes, we now get this. And you see that now half the people are where they were before. So we've only got 50% mobility. And then this happens, we've now got 25% mobility, and then what happens? Well, then we get stasis, don't we? All the people who should be at the top are now at the top, and all the people who should be at the bottom are now at the bottom. So the reporter comes along, does his survey, and reports that there is no social mobility at all in this society, despite the fact that this is the same society, this is the same meritocracy we were talking about before, but everyone's got to where they ought to be. And that was something that was never mentioned by any of the newspaper articles I read, or any of the journalists on television. They all failed to spot that social mobility leads to social stasis. And if you've got a society in which everyone stays where they are throughout their whole life, then that's possibly a sign that you've got tremendous meritocracy and mobility, because mobility leads to this stasis. And who do you think are by far the most socially mobile people in Britain today? Immigrants. That fits, doesn't it? The people who've been here for a while have found their place, but the people who have arrived here don't immediately slot straight into the right place. Perhaps they go down, perhaps they go up, and then they find their place. Now, Britain has actually been a very mobile society for a very long time. There were early Victorian industrialists who became fabulously wealthy and bought their way into the aristocracy. And that was something which wasn't happening in other countries. Britain has been so mobile for so long that it's now, I put it to you, actually apparently quite static. But that's because we live in a fair society, not an unfair one. I'm not saying it's perfectly fair, but actually I think Britain is fairer than most of the people in the media were making out.